So we are finally moving past elapsed time and to a little temperature stuff. So we'll be doing 16.6. We will be learning how to read a thermometer and estimate different temperatures. So here's the vocab that we will be focusing on. But before we get to that, let's take a look at our workbook pages from yesterday. Number 16, Lisa went to the library. She was there for 2 hours, 15 minutes. She left the library at 5:40 p.m. What time did she get to the library? So they're telling us what time she left, so that would be our end time over here, and we need to figure out her start time. So she was there for 2 hours and 15 minutes. So I'm going to jump back those first 2 hours. Okay, and then you want to count back. 1 hour would be 4:40, 2 hours would be 3:40, and then you need to jump those final 15 minutes to get the start time of 3:25 p.m. So this is that final answer. Number 17. Marcus visited his friend's house from 11:50 to 3:15 p.m. How long was his visit? So for this one, they want to know how long was the visit. So they're not asking for a time here, they're asking for elapsed time. So this is where we are going to do the jumps to the next solid hour. So we're going to jump to 12 o'clock. And then if you notice, it went from AM to PM. So this is 10 minutes. And then we'll go to our end time and jump back to that previous solid hour, which is 3 o'clock. So this means this is a 15-minute jump. And then 12 to 3, so you want to count your hours. You're starting at 12. 1, 2, 3 is a 3-hour jump. And then we need to put it all together to get a final answer of 3 hours and 25 minutes. So here we go, final answer for number 17. Number 18, Mr. Nelson took 3 hours 30 minutes to decorate his classroom. He started at 9:20. What time did he finish? So we are looking for some clue words here, okay? He started at this time. What time did he finish? Okay, so that's what you're going to pay attention to. So since we're looking for an end time, we can jump these first 3 hours. Okay, now the biggest thing I want to mention is when you're finding times like start times and end times, you don't always have to go to that next solid hour. When you're doing elapsed time though, like number 17, you want to be jumping to those solid hours. But for this one, we can start off by jumping those 3 hours. So if it's 9:20 that they're starting, 10:20 would be 1 hour, 11:20 would be 2 hours, and 12:20 would be 3 hours. So we're doing that first jump there. Okay, and then our last jump is of the 30 minutes. So we're thinking 12:20 plus those 30 minutes would bring us to 12:50. And again, we're passing over 12 o'clock. So this now would be PM. So here is that final answer. Alright, number 19. Mrs. Martin's flight landed at 2:25 a.m. The flight was 4 hours, 45 minutes long. What time did the flight take off? So they're telling us that the flight landed at 2:25. So that means that's the end time. And they want to know what time did the, and again, time is important, did it take off. So we need to figure out the start time here. So we need to go a total of 4 hours and 45 minutes. So for this one, what you can do is, now typically you don't want to do jumps larger than 3 hours at a time. This one's 4, so I'm going to break it up and do 2 at a time so I make sure that I don't lose count. So going back from 225 would be 125, 1225. And then I need to go back an additional 2 hours to complete my 4 hours. So 12:25, back 1 hour would be 11:25, back another hour would be 10:25. And if you did your minutes first, the only thing I would warn you about is the fact that we need to go a total of 45 minutes. So going back 45 minutes from the 25 gets a little tricky. So you want to be able to break that up here, where we got to be extra careful. So we're going to go back to 10 o'clock so that way we can break up our time a little easier, because we need to go still a total of 45 minutes. So we're going to jump back these 25 minutes, and then you need to think difference of 25 and 45 is 20 minutes. So we're going to go back an additional 20 minutes, because then if we add it all up together, sorry, this is sloppy. Here we go. So this now means we have 2 hours, 2 hours, which gives us 4 hours, and 25 plus 20 gives us this 45 minutes. So this brings us all the way back and into the previous hour. So the flight would have taken off at 9:40, and then it was AM, which means this switches back to PM because we passed over the 12 o'clock. So our final answer would be 9:40 p.m. Alright, so let's take a look here. So thermometer is used to measure temperature. It shows how warm or cold something is. So the higher it goes up, the higher amount of degrees, that is the warmer side. So this thermometer gives us some examples. So 212 degrees Fahrenheit is where water boils. That's very hot. 105 degrees Fahrenheit is a very hot day. 75 degrees Fahrenheit is a warm day. 68 degrees Fahrenheit is around room temperature. That's a pretty warm temp. Cool is 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Cold is once you get to 32 degrees, that's when water freezes. And then 10 degrees Fahrenheit is a really cold day. So temperature can be measured in degrees Fahrenheit, so it's showed by that tiny little circle floating up at that top left corner and a capital F. The red line is in a thermometer is a liquid, so it rises to show you the temperature. It moves up when it's warm and down when it's cool. So she's saying the temperature is red at the point where the red line ends, and the temperature on the thermometer is 80 degrees. So if we take a look at where this red line is and we go across, it is right on 80. So we're going to do some practice and decide whether the temperature is hot, warm, or cold. But before we do that, we need to find the temperature and include the units. So for number 1, if we take a look here, it is right on 0. So this is showing us, I'm gonna have to write it. Hang on. Okay. So this is showing us 0 degrees, which you show by doing that little circle, Fahrenheit. And with that, it means this is cold. This is a very cold temperature, okay? Now for number 2. So this is somewhere in between. So you kind of have to zoom in and think, what is it skip counting by? So right in the middle, if it's going from 100 to 110, halfway between that would be 105 degrees Fahrenheit. and you know that it's Fahrenheit by this F up there. So if it's 105 degrees Fahrenheit, that means it is hot. For number 3, now again, it's right in between 70 and 80, so halfway between that would be 75 degrees Fahrenheit. And now that would be a warm temperature. Okay, let's look at number 4. So number 4 is right, that red liquid has gone up and it's right on 40 degrees Fahrenheit. And 40 degrees Fahrenheit is cold. Number 5, so it's right about halfway, maybe 1 above, so halfway would be 195, but it looks like it's 1 up, so we're going to say 196 degrees Fahrenheit. Now if it's 196 degrees Fahrenheit, that is hot. And for the last one in this section, so it's right in the middle, so that means it is on 55 degrees Fahrenheit. And 55 degrees Fahrenheit is a cool temperature. Alright, so now we need to decide which temperature matches the activity. So here we have a boy playing basketball. So we need to think about whether it would qualify as a temperature that you'd be outside in short sleeves and shorts. So 38 degrees Fahrenheit would be just above freezing there. So definitely A for this one. Now here they are building a snowman. They have hats, scarves, all that good stuff. 60 degrees, we would not be seeing any of that. So 10 degrees for here. And then for number 9, in order to get that tea kettle water boiling, 50 degrees definitely wouldn't be enough. So that would be 212 degrees Fahrenheit. So same thing that I did, you're finding the temperature and include the unit, then describe it as hot, warm, cool, or cold. And once you finish this, raise your hand as always, and you are doing workbook pages 159 through 161. Good luck.